Hi, boys and girls. Right now we're going to go over while and until loops. Now, while loops, they're used to do something while a certain condition is actually met. Until loops are the exact opposite. They're going to do something until a certain condition is met. Now, these loops are pretty useful in programming, but they do run the greatest risk of being infinite loops if the condition is never broken or met, depending on whether it's a while or an until loop. So this is the basic syntax for it. You start with the do keyword to begin this statement, but then you also end it with the loop keyword at the end of the statement. Now you also need to use until or while keywords either after do or after loop keywords, depending on when you want to run the test followed by a condition. So this is kind of how it will look, but just know that only one of these two will actually show up. If it's the one on the top, this is called a pre-test, meaning that we're actually going to be running this test before we actually execute anything that's within the loop. Now, if we're doing on the bottom, this is the opposite of pre-test, called a post-test. Finally, we're going to go through these examples, and I'll kind of show you what is up with these. So this while example, we see here, this is actually an example of a post-test, and we're going to say do this loop, where we're actually doing x equals x plus 1, while x is less than 10. And starting out, we can see we're stepping through, x is now 0. It's going to keep adding 1 to this until x is then equal to 10, and it stops. Now this actually does the exact same thing, but I just took the opposite of less than, which is greater than or equal to, and this will actually just keep adding until it gets to 10 as well. So you can see that they can accomplish the same thing depending on whether or not you negate the condition or not. Now, both of these were examples of post-tests, but what happens if we actually do a pre-test example? So this one is a while loop that says if x is less than 10, we're going to be doing this for a while until x is greater than or equal to it. But right now we're going to say up here x is actually equal to 100, so we're actually hitting this. The pretest, this will actually knock us out and completely skip the loop altogether. While the post test, if we actually move this down to here, this will actually run this condition once. So y is now equal to 1, and now it exited us out of this loop because it was already met before we actually ran this loop condition.